Thank you so much, Zoe. It's time to kick off this year with two incredible teams who are absolute fighters. I mean, fans, we have FlyQuest, who have taken out their rival, Warada. This is like deja vu from last kickoff. And Blue Otter, who have retooled and are ready to punch up. I'm so excited.
And also knocked out Warada yesterday going to the lower BO5. So, yeah, Blue Water is definitely the new team on the block right now. That's probably going to get talked about a lot, especially if they're able to beat FlyQuest today. Because that would mean that they're going through a lower bracket run, being able to defeat 100 Thieves, being able to defeat Warada, and potentially now FlyQuest Red. And that was such a bounce back that Blue Water had going in that BO5 when he got dismantled into BO3 in the upper quarterfinals against Warada in the past. But we'll focus now on Blue Water in this composition. Double duelists trying to work out on the attack side, which is also quite interesting here, Lemmy Kiwi, that we have every single one of these maps with FlyQuest starting off on defense.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Blue Otter on a lot of their comfort picks, but this is also one of their worst maps. Blue Otter are 0-4 on this, but hey, they go really close to a lot of the top teams on this. Like, you actually saw the 11-13 loss to Warada, but FlyQuest, this is one of their strongest maps. 13-3. Oh, they see red all right. And we're already setting up a 2-3 split. Now, the spike is heading to the right side. And look how Blue Water had baited a fight towards the left. Avery downs 2. And just when you thought it was all a ruse, well, you would always be inspired to go B. But the spike's already comfortable planted at A.
Yeah, it was a fake the whole time, and Avery was not supposed to stay alive with 2 kills on top of that. But at least Ev moves in, slows down the tempo a little bit here. Still a player advantage for Blue Water, but the plant will go down. It won't be for Heaven's side, so you're just waiting to play the late crossfire setups. A backstab to backstab as you see the positioning from the rotate back of Avery.
One enemy remaining.
Oh my god, Madison on it. Now getting active towards the back line, expecting that fight very soon. And Jazzykins with the Sheriff. It's nothing to really enable herself with, but she's a vet for a reason. The swing timed Sin in the blink of an eye, and Avery didn't want to swing off of that, but now presence has been shown. They're just playing their life, and Jazzykins, this is no laughing matter. They're just trying to bait them into an engagement, and Madison wraps around. Really smart, good patient plays for Blue Water to take the pistol.
It was very close too, because both of those players were one-shottable on the side of Blue Water, and Jaskin had that Sheriff. The thing is there was also a small slight misstep on that double high-low on that left side of A main, so there was a possibility here that you almost had that clutch from Jazzykins. I love how things started here. So selling that fake towards that B site, Madison kind of just left Avery left for dead because they're like, well, I'm getting pushed down, there's 3 players pushing me, just go with the rest of the team, and somehow they're still able to drop 2. That's an insane way to start the pistol round here and to snowball a good economy in the second round. Already outlawing the second one. Maybe you'll see a little bit of jump spotting when the smoke goes up and down, but you're definitely going to be prodding around this map. You should be afraid of shotguns around the map here for the side of FlyQuest on the defense. So you respect this, right? Throw your clones out, throw your recalls out at the same time to make sure to figure out where the stack and the crunch could be. And it seems as though they have an idea after this haunt on the top of mid that there was a crossfire setup now from FlyQuest on split here.
Even that clone making noise down middle, just you already heard the shorty from Jazzykins. So like you said, Blue Water got to be really careful when they close that distance, and you want to be able to let that outlaw do all the talking. But FlyQuest are holding their positions, and this is where when the Viper's wall comes down, I wonder if Madison could get that opening. They've been so incredible breaking open these rounds for Blue Water, and you need a comfortable bonus. You're going to need every round you can get when going up against the goats of FlyQuest, but it's Blue Water taking that first blood in terms of this map. Madison wings at the ready, behind the Prowler, jumps and retracts out, and Oasis will be the tip of the spear. I like that follow-up and the layers. Blue Water have their bases covered too with the smokes, so will be a safe plan.
Yeah, very similar executions. We'll talk about it in a bit from Blue Water when they hit these A sites compared to FlyQuest, but now 3 players swinging down. Sin's going to be on the late lurk. Already spotted now, but it's shorty long range, and you're trying to close that gap a bit, and all Sin needs to do is to run that clock down. So face the players towards her. Nice shots. It should be a easy cleanup for the rest of the round on the side of Blue Water. So that said, FlyQuest, again, interesting that they're starting off on the defensive side for this as well. I think it's one of those matchups where you want to let Blue Water maybe think that they can dictate the tempo, and if you're able to shut them down on defense, you'll be much more comfortable going in the rest of the series, because their attack side for FlyQuest has been excellent. I think now at 85%, right? And a lot of these attack sides have been almost flawless for a lot of these matches throughout Kickoff for FlyQuest due to their 5-player pop executions that has been very strong, and that has been demonstrated against Whatnot in the past. So now you got the money, you got the weapons. You'll see if FlyQuest now could start bringing back this this tally against Blue Water's bonus.
There's that bait and switch. There's not that overconfidence with Blue Water, and really they're hitting their shots nicely. 2 bullets at the chamber of a Guardian, and it converts on both. So Sin showing as one of the most decorated players on this Blue Water roster that they can deliver when it matters the most. And that strong bonus, being able to carry all those weapons in, damage done, not enough to put Blue Water down. Being able to respect that distance and respect what FlyQuest can do even on a lower buy. But this is a big round for FlyQuest to try and convert, and the Outlaw encounters Thea, who tried to push up in garage off of their own smoke. That leaves FlyQuest at a disadvantage.
Just looking at it through the mini-map, Madison looked like they were still clearing corners and had to flick for that kill onto Thea. Thea had her opponent dead to rights pretty much, and Madison somehow gets the pick with the Outlaw. One-shottable. At least we get to now just a Blue Otter slowing down the tempo, and now FlyQuest feeling that they have to make some sort of a play, catching some players off guard too and off positions, and this is a great player advantage for Blue Water in the A-side finish.
And FlyQuest are having these individual plays, trying to lurk and assess where is the hit going to be before it happens, and Jazzykins gets ahead of the game, and Edith by her side. FlyQuest finally puts some kind of delay at the entrance of A, and the re-swing. Oh, Jazzykins now with 3 this round will be the anchor that FlyQuest can depend on once again. And the teamwork will make the job a lot easier too. May is the last one left now with an Outlaw going towards Heaven. Try to get eyes on the spike, but you should know that FlyQuest are probably going to be tucked away in positions that are be tough to get them out of.
Especially when the spike's out in the open, dropped by Jazzykins. May will have to make some noise to drop. First contact will be Ev, then you probably double swing through this as well, and that's a nice GG round for FlyQuest. I mean, that was a 3 versus 5. That was some excellent hold coming out from Jazzykins. The flash blinds 2 players. They're able to double swing with Edith. They were a little bit out of sync in terms of trying to hold the back of that site, because you saw that Jazzykin was trying to look back towards the elbow while the other one was still watching towards main instead of just high-low focusing on that left side kill. But at least Jazzykins, you just talked about her veterancy and how good she's been, and she's been playing since Valorant came out in 2020. She's able to pick up the round back into favor for FlyQuest and even convert it for them to not allow Blue Otter to run away with a bonus round conversion.
Yeah, and Jazzykins has been incredible since the inception of GT back in 21, and she has gone through every roles from duelist to sentinel transitioning, and now a full-on flash initiator. And being able to get that collegiate experience and everything, like, FlyQuest have the resumes, but at the end of the day, it's how you show up on the day. FlyQuest playing a much more passive B garage approach. Never mind, we peeked it. We tried to be a little bit more careful with how we peeked it, but there's still an L on garage. That is a problem. And like that, Melia is going to be trying. Oh, actually goes to swing and trade that. Try to find the timing, and it works out. Blue Water really destructured, and Ev is a brick wall on the top of Heaven. So this round looks pretty dead for Blue Water.
Yeah, beautiful off angle being played on the top there by Ev, especially with the Yoru posted up here towards main, if I'm not mistaken. There's no flashes to really try to take the B Heaven control, and especially have players just trying to find timings here and there, and are able to convert these quite well. Speaking of timing, Sin just dropped Ev, and that opens up the site. 2 versus 1 for Melia to anchor up.
Oh, Melia heard something from above, got squashed from both sides, and now the ball is in Blue Water's corner. What a turnaround, and Sin will be on the front lines. Will decide to just be able to play off of her teammate. That's what's important, as he did. Oh, spots the one from down below, and Blue Water turn it all around.
Like, I was watching a little bit of G2 earlier this morning in Santiago when you're rotating with knife out, and you should be aware that players are already closing that gap, especially how they took down Melia in that back of the site, and that was still the player on the top of Rafter. So a little bit of a mistiming, should I say, on the side of FlyQuest on that rotate that rendered quite costly. Sin opening things up. I mean, you saw it from the development of that round. It all went down to those timing pushes. So catching players off guard from the B entrance over to the B rotate. Both sides kind of had slight mistakes, but it's Blue Water to capitalize this towards the end, and that's a great little kill because you see this. Oh, well, it's supposed to be an eco. It's supposed to be an easy round because they had successes with the Outlaw for Blue Water, but Oasis just got dropped.
And Sin will take over to make sure that that gun is not reachable for FlyQuest. They're happy with the orb that gets the Seekers for Jazzykins, but was that kill enough to really inspire FlyQuest? I mean, this is a confident team. Do you invest ults into a full save round? It'll depend how this next engagement goes. Jazzykin's gonna make the call. The stack is towards A. Already pulling rotate, while you may have a timing towards Garage, but just kind of chilling out right now. We'll focus on Blue Otter trying to get ramp control, and maybe that rotate pull was enough for May to be like, yeah, they all left. Let's go B.
Exactly. She just calls her rotate back in the first place. The insert from Battison is just to sell a fake in the first place, but not breaking his Seekers is actually a huge mistake. That gives a chance now for FlyQuest to full rotate towards B.
See if they can beat them to the punch. I like that paranoia from Thea. That IGL will try to hold things down. The ship stays afloat, and the backstab gets the spike down. Blue Water may have their heads above water, but they're floundering. They got to get the spike down ASAP. It's just Melia with a Bucky. May should be trying to get that paranoia off ASAP. Already presence being shown. Melia breaks in, and May's got the cutoff, biting at the heels of Melia.
It was very dangerous. Again, because of the positioning of Battison to where Jazzykins threw the Seekers, they're all right next to each other. So I'm pretty sure the first Seeker is going to go, no matter what, towards Battison. So if she breaks it, she should break the other two, at least one, so that they still make FlyQuest think that there's a lean towards the A site. As she lets it through, you see that it heads towards middle, and FlyQuest is like, well, this is just a fake. We know they're hitting towards that B site. You saw that they actually almost had that timing. If it wasn't for that Nightfall being thrown on the attack side from Avery, I think it could have been a FlyQuest converting here, that pistol. But here's an up shot and denied.
Not the first time that Blue Water have converted these 4v5s or just these scenarios where should be losing. But FlyQuest were on a pistol, and they did as much damage as they could. Blue Water now building up to some big ults and mainly shutting down a big win condition from FlyQuest. Edith 2 and 6, uncharacteristic, but waiting for them to be the hero to get the cape on their back. Right now, the null command is what's got us in a stalemate at the moment.
I'd like to think that there was potentially the TP from Thea. I'd have to look back at the replay. Or it's a smoke blooming at the TP was fully blocking the vision of Edith. Couldn't get that pick, and unfortunately there, another small mistake allows FlyQuest to stay in this round.
Melia sensing the spray down and just goes for the wide swing. I can't believe she locked down like that and keeps control of Mail. And FlyQuest stabilized their situation. It's now 4v4. In Blue Water, a lot of these ults are going to be useful once you actually get onto the site, or you can set up Battison to convergent paths in. You'd rather do that with some kind of information, though. You're relying on Avery to make that call. Prowler to check the close corner. Convergent pass now being pulled. Battison gets active. Jazzykins with the surprise yet again. The spike is out, and teamwork will eventually overwhelm the site anchor. Jazzykins falls. 8 seconds left. You gotta get the spike down ASAP, and the fight ensues. FlyQuest are trying to suffocate you as you think you can rest. And that was enough of a delay. Oh, wait, at the last second. Oh, that was so close. May clutches up, keeps the round alive. 2 versus 1. Thea gets hurt on the drop down, and Sin will execute.
It almost felt like they knew that there was no time left for Blue Water because Thea actually TP'd back up so that she could stay alive. That had to be milliseconds. That had to be milliseconds, especially when you saw Ev underhand throw that flash, running through, trying to deny that plant, and somehow it was still spiked down at that A site. What a turn of events. I gotta say, the execution was a little bit off kilter as they were going for the eye in the back of the site, and then it just went for the ult right where the eye was instead of maybe trying to use May's ulti to confirm where Jazzy was going to be at. But in the end, towards that chaos, through the chaos, Blue Water survives, and they're winning down these numbers, and that calls out that first timeout from Coach Joe, where they probably need to rethink things through here on their defensive side. And So far, it's been just a lot of punishing plays from FlyQuest trying to take B main control. Like from Athea walking out, getting punished, from jumping out, getting punished, from also trying to go for a fake TP for info or a jump TP for info to have either come out for a swing, but the vision's blocked from the TP. Another small mistake. So I think they're going to have to iron that out a little bit more here. I know they're trying to fight for a little bit of map control so that they could siphon players back into like these judges crossfire setups on middle. But they gotta clean up the act on that B main control in the first place.
It definitely seems like there's, I mean, Blue Water can keep punishing Thea at B main. It still seems back and forth on. You still have Ev, who's been the final boss of B at the back stairs. And if you, then Jazzykins has been a very difficult wall to break through when it comes to the A push. So Blue Water, though, have found success. If they can get Sin onto the site, Viper's Pit's going to be huge, and FlyQuest are so deep pushing through Garage to support they on that fight that they've been getting so consistently that this weakens up the whole right side of the map. Blue Water have full control until Melia shuts it down with the Judge. The Viper's Pit, though, is still difficult to navigate. Sin and Oasis will support each other on that front. FlyQuest will have Jazzykins with a dog if they want to do a bit of exploration just to be proactive before going in blind. While not wanting to overstay their welcome during that decay, Blue Water now can play time and the pit.
Very nice from Blue Water too. But the dog is going to find a bit of information, but as you said here, you're just trying to go for some pop damage for FlyQuest. At least they get one, and that's the pit down actually.
Just random pot shots through the pit and you kill the Viper. You don't get any luckier than that, especially when a Judge is waiting for you with open arms. I don't blame FlyQuest for just not wanting to feed orbs at this point, especially with Avery being so close to the Nightfall. So FlyQuest gonna take the quality fights, not just any of them. And Blue Water now have built themselves a pretty serious lead.
Yeah, and that was Avery even close with that Judge at the elbow. I do respect what FlyQuest is kind of doing though, and Blue Water on the call. They've been conditioning a lot of the, defaults and taking early space around Garage in these rounds. And then when you actually have this eco run from FlyQuest, they're just going to say, well, maybe at best we could get one or two towards that B main default, and then we can get upgraded weapons from our trap play to re-hit towards the A site and flood. But instead, Blue Water, they changed the tempo. They went for a 5-player hit towards that A site, and they really caught FlyQuest off guard a little bit here on their gamble push. But it's okay. That timeout was for this round over here. Another potential for them to be able to do a trap play if they want it to, because they will have weapons around the big ult from Edith. And we'll have to see here how they want to play this. Will it be Thea jump spotting for the TP once again, and then you could actually activate the convergence path, something at least, so that you could trigger some early map control on the side of FlyQuest. But we'll have to wait and see here, where unfortunately we have a little bit of a microphone issue on one of the players, and we're just going to wait for that to settle down, and then we could continue on with this matchup. But Blue Water continuing to be very impressive from the beginning of kickoff until now. Lemon Kiwi.
Yeah, I know. Just the big underdogs. Like, we were all surprised, and not in a bad way. There's just this level of talent. These players have stepped it up in a huge way to now go and contend against a lot of the vets, the tenureship that this FlyQuest roster has. And I think this will be a big round for Oasis, especially with the dimensional drift. If you're worried about any kind of ults on the other side, a pit or something, that has to be Oasis getting all of that info for you. And Blue Water have been doing a fantastic job getting into the A consistently off of waylay dashes or things like that, and dispatching Jazzykins as soon as they can. And Oasis, you lean on them, lean on her even more in this match, because this is one of the few players that has actually been to a grand final on this team. So this high stakes, this pressure, this stress, like Oasis can maybe be part of the person that can calm everyone down and have really secure, confident calling, because that's what you need. And she has that experience from LATAM and NA to boot.
Yeah. And it's a huge wake-up call for FlyQuest so far, because they are the team that are undefeated on this map, being 4-0. And then you're looking on the other side, Blue Water in 2 different occasions trying to fight against Wadada went with 2 different comps. One with Waylay Chamber going into the double duelist now. They both didn't find any victories against Wadada, although you did definitely see that on their attack side, there was slight improvements on how they were able to convert some of these rounds if they were able to play as a team. You see now in this type of matchup, though, versus FlyQuest, is that they're not trying to play as aggro and team slimy as they want to towards the site hits, they're actually defaulting quite well and working around that map and really finding those weaknesses and picking FlyQuest apart. Again, especially towards that B main to start. And then right after that, the full map is open. They could figure out where they want to go towards the end. Even if Jazzigan is trying to do some hero plays towards that A site, there's just too many numbers ahead here for the side of Blue Water to overcome, to be able to hold your line on that defense. And you're seeing now the results of this 6-1. So again, maybe that you're going to start seeing the doubt settling for the type for the side of FlyQuest, because you wanted to start on your harder side, where you're starting on defense here for FlyQuest. You forced out a timeout from Coach Joe, and you still haven't found any results. So that could definitely start, creeping up. So you're kind of happy that this tech pause is happening here, so that everybody can kind of be in their own minds and think things through and calm their nerves as they're trying to win their grand finals now for FlyQuest in this kickoff.
I've just been impressed by the high-level execution of the double duelist. That's the type of meta that we're entering right now. And players like Jazzykins have to step off of Sentinels and find out their role on a team. And now you got more duelists, which I think is a perfect meta for a team like Blue Water that have so many duelists to boot. And you already saw those flavors, those layers of your Waylay dashing in, recalls out, and then the Yoru steps in, and that's just right out of the gates of this grand final. It's not taking that much time for Blue Water to find a really good stride and to show us complexities to their strategy. A lot of GC is keeping the strategy simple and easy to execute, where you default and you hit the site that looks the best, but we're seeing some pivots. We're seeing mind games, those fakes from Blue Water, already forcing a team like FlyQuest to have to think twice and to almost hesitate and to keep trying. And Thea, I think, will definitely have to be someone who takes a more passive approach to B, because if that B site keeps getting, I guess, first-blooded, Blue Water may want to take it more towards B, but so far it's been a lot of A hits.
This is the best setting as well for FlyQuest to win their first GC main event. If I'm not mistaken, they've always come second place, only winning first place in open qualifiers, but always falling short against the Wadadas and the Shopify Blacks of the world. So now they have an opportunity now against a new team, Blue Water. But now it's tough. Dimensional Drift coming out, getting a lot of information, but at least Edith gets that pick towards that A side. They knew now it was a fake towards that B site, and Edith was ready to pick off the first player. Also, I think, was the spike carrier, so that will slow down the tempo of the round for Blue Water, but a great advantage to start for FlyQuest.
Would have liked to see more time before that dimensional drift, get more firm, secure control of middle so you can get even more time into dimensional drift, because they only got some info on rafters. It was kind of smoked off. You don't know what's at the back of the site. You got a sense of numbers on the left side, but was that enough for Blue Water? Now they go into the unknown of having that middle control, following up on May, who has not had any engagements or any trade opportunities after Sin fell at that point. FlyQuest are in these somewhat split positions, and the barrel gets spotted, and Melia in trouble. Nice snake bite to delay. We'll get Blue Water off their backs for now, and even the knife being thrown from Ev, so Blue Water definitely shook up the nest there. Not even over yet. Now it's Events Escape, and Jazzykins will make it an exit. Blue Water will not be able to evict anyone from this site. Make it a 4K for the Sky.
Well done once again, Jazzykins, as I was just mentioning before. Anchoring up on that site, if Jazzikin has players just running into her crosshair, she's definitely going to take him down. You have to be a little bit spread out across that site on the exit to allow yourself a window to really get in towards these sites. But they did a great job, despite the 4 versus 5 for Blue Otter, to really push FlyQuest away from that B line. But they weren't able to force any full rotates on the side of the A site, because there was not enough full pressure through the line of scrimmage, maybe even towards B main, or even Omen making some noise. So there was no gaps really that was there. You kept your positions. FlyQuest was great to be able to hold it down.
And I think there's definitely more value you can squeeze out of these duelist ultimates. I mean, best case scenario, you're able to decloak with the Yoru, behind enemy lines and have a fight on your terms, especially surprising FlyQuest. But FlyQuest are able to track them and be one step ahead, and these are the type of rounds that FlyQuest have to convert. And now with an op in the hands of Edith, middle, secure control. control, but creeping up and puts down 2. The dog's thrown into the mix. Now the flash. Blue Water is still trying to get eyes in, and May. No surprise, Jazzykins thinking she was maybe affected by the flash. Jazzykins was not expecting that kind of tussle. But Blue Water have information to play off of in ramp, so at least they can follow through on that after downing 2 on the site.
Yeah, they're just cutting. Oh, I was gonna say they were just cutting noise right now, which would have been perfect because you're starting to see FlyQuest starting to fall back, thinking that everybody pulled through to retake mid control. Now you're just making so much noise. Thea has a good spot here to supply some praise for players.
Wow, Thea as good as ever, but this was a death ball and only delay it, not fully stop it. Oh, May actually gonna take it elsewhere. Love this ultimate. Now we'll be able to get a plant off of what is going to be the post-plant position for this to get ahead of the FlyQuest rotates. Try and take this 1v1 as FlyQuest split apart. Edith trying to get a better angle with the op going to the high ground, and Melia wanting to support that. Full sweep of the site. May could
Getting
wrap
so
around.
tough here too because Thea has an op. Still gives a chance for May.
Oh, the snake bite. May gets the K, and it's just enough HP for Melia to shut her down in 1. My God, that came down to the wire with just the call to go for the Viper spin, the 2v1 as the spike was ticking down. That was scary.
Yeah, the issue going there was that May did an incredible job to stay silent until the pit came out. When the pit came out, she felt nervous that she had to make a play. So throwing the paranoia, she gives away the position where she's trying to flank from or trying to surprise opponents from. All you got to do is just snake bite in there and just hold that line. Even if it's shorty or whatnot, you just spray with the whatever you got in that bottleneck coming in from spawn, and it was going to be an easy take no matter in the end. As I was going to mention, very difficult for them to play double inside that pit with one of them having the operator, so you could still kind of walk in and try to surprise your opponent even if you're slightly decaying inside that pit. But unfortunately, it wasn't a case of slight feeling that pressure on the side of May. Couldn't really clutch that 1 versus 2, and now FlyQuest is actually somehow that was so one-sided to kick things off here in this grand finals. Actually closing that gap and starting to find form.
Yeah, it's been a lot more difficult for Blue Otter to consistently hit A without some kind of stop. There's more players within the site for FlyQuest. Is it Jazzykin throwing a dog or a flash? It's Melia or somebody else. So there's a lot more util at this choke point, maybe forcing Blue Otter to have to go for more middle control. And how do you do that when there's an op from Edith sitting in middle and you want to go through vents and have another angle to attack that high ground? So Blue Otter to show us a different look going forward. You sense numbers here if you're Jazzykins, and you could always throw out the Seekers if you're really unsure, but does not want to get spammed out and overwhelmed. Oasis also brings an op into this round, so trying to fight fire with fire as they encroach on that B garage. It's not going to get that peek from FlyQuest that they've noted before.
And you're starting to see too, FlyQuest, how they're currently playing the sites. They are playing more angled up, turtled up, and trying to play off trades and making Blue Water think that they're able to get some good spacing. Because look at how I look at that pressure towards being main, it's non-existent. Doesn't really do much though.
Ooh.
That will though.
I'll put a damper onto things. Hey, FlyQuest have the information. They have the first blood. They're dogging up, and now they've recognized no one's in mail. They've gotten Blue Water to disengage from that point. Smoke up at B, and FlyQuest, you're fairly secure. You just maybe want to reestablish Jazzykins in middle. But other than that, all is in Blue Water's court on how they're going to make it in here. I think it's off of Madison or Oasis, and that flash will mark for Jazzykins that there is trouble ahead. 13 seconds, and it's coming in quick. Jazzykins has already shut down 1 on the entry, and Melia, all she has to do is delay with the snake bite. 5 seconds left. Blue Water never really got to blossom on this attack.
Yeah, they gave up, grabbing that orb, falling back, thinking about the next round. Oh, Melia. All right, thankfully not fully peeking there because Oasis had that line just before the smoke dissipates. But it was the reason why I said it doesn't give much in terms of the Seekers at that middle mark from Jazzykins is, yeah, you got some info towards male, but your idea was already to try to let players come through and then you try to trade off each other. So even if they have male control, you can't react upon that yet because everybody's turtled passively to site. And yeah, there's 2 sets of shots. The mistake though was that push from that A side where you're trying to find your timing, you walk right into an op, you haven't created enough of a diversion so that you could find your timing into A ramp, and everything just kind of slowly fell apart on that Blue Otter take. You're definitely starting to see here with FlyQuest really slowing down that clock and letting Blue Otter really take that first step. They're actually creating their own gaps that FlyQuest are able to take advantage of.
Just FlyQuest, the conditioning they had done at the start of the map to be so forward, so aggressive, has forced Blue Otter to now have to invest more util. Just the Prowler, just to circle around the A orb. But Melia keep middle under control. Battison being removed. That's a big spark plug for Blue Otter. They've relied on them to dash into sight to make that space to trade with Oasis. And, well, speaking of Oasis, none of that either. No duelist, no fun.
Harsh, unfortunately, couldn't find anything from Oasis on that peak on the A ramp. You saw that X at middle is Battison just trying to find a timing. Well, that's still a nice entry by Sin.
Sin is the one to take these engagements that you think that they would lose, but Sin locks in, locks on, and Avery found. But Jazzykins will trade, and that means Blue Water have a chance to plant. They have a little bit of delay, but only a little bit of HP, so that's why Sin will plant. May will be the bodyguard. Now you got flashes out from Ev, but not a fight that they can take, and you gotta wait for the smoke to expire if you eat it to get some open sight lines with the op, and Blue Water want to play hide and seek and not stare directly into the sun. Don't want to get antsy. Don't want to get impatient if you're Blue Water. You gotta stick to your guns. It's Edith and Ev. No, time is running out. This corner has to be checked. Saturate thrown, and oh, Ev will execute. Sin down. May lurks in the smoke. Waits for the perfect time to stop the defuse before getting behind the pillar into safety. Edith has to get immediately on it. 16 HP and no time for Edith. Oh, at the last second. Oh, call it a Red Bull clutch for Blue Water.
Very, very nice try on a 2 versus 2. Again, very hard to retake with the operator. The knife from Ev actually spotted the player towards that back, so it was nice what they did. They moved forward, they went for the saturate into the pick, but then they threw a close smoke that kind of threw them off guard because now you're diffusing just on the outside of that smoke. It's an easier an easier outline for you to jump out of that smoke to get that pick right there from May and jump back in. So the mini Gulag, they could run that clock down. Very nicely played by May, who's been highlighted on that on the desk earlier on before we started the series of how good she's been across multiple agents, playing controllers in different ways, but also now being a clutch factor for this team.
Not the first time. She had 2 4Ks on Corrode against Wadada yesterday. Had a 4K on Split in that series as well. So they can be the one who turns it on. And Edith, well, Oasis won't be playing the game this round. These duelists have been trying to have fights on Blue Water's terms, and that has started to really fizzle out. And you're walking into an op sideline. At least you know where it is now. But 3 versus 5, you just don't have the manpower to get through this or the util. And now you're just fodder to someone like Edith, who's just been fabulous on the op. And that's how FlyQuest climbed back into this map, potentially with a 5-7 ending here, unless May can pull off the impossible, but Edith will still give her the respect, and it is 5-7, still for Blue Water.
Yeah, at least they're able to close that out for FlyQuest, because remember 2 rounds ago, that round number 11, it was an op kill that opened things up for Edith, and then they were playing a 5 versus 3. Yeah, it was still a clutch factor win for Blue Otter. And there's been some of those moments going into that Wadada game that clutches were backbreakers for the momentum for Wadada to come back into the game. And that was off these hero plays out of Blue Water that they've once again also mentioned on the desk of how individually Blue Water are very aware of where their opponents are at when they have to go into these clutch scenarios or in these mid-roundings where they have to find timings. They're really good at those. But thankfully, though, we still have a game in our hands moving into the second half because FlyQuest were able to muster up 5 rounds on the defense. And this is where it could potentially get hard for Blue Water. FlyQuest, excellent on the attack. 5-player hits have always been super good off the tip of the spear, being Edith, creating all that space. And Ev following behind with flashes and other players behind as well with Ev. They're so good at trading off each other, so when it comes down to these site hits, that Blue Water have to be ready for these rounds.
I'm ready for this Ev masterclass on the flashes too, along with Jazzykins. Ev has had so many years on the initiator. And now it's FlyQuest that will give a chance to show us how they execute their plans in their strat book. Right now, it's this bait and switch and trying to get Blue Water to bite down on this in middle, but now FlyQuest will get to chomp down on someone in ramp, and Addison in a one-and-done spot will be able to escape. Thanks to Melia, actually.
Very good, though. That dog that spots both of them actually creates like a little bit of a red alert. Blue Water is already mass rotating towards the A side. Now this flash also clearing towards A ramp allows them to rotate through vents and now pins her into the A heaven control.
30 seconds left.
Tough. FlyQuest thought could have had a weakened member here of Blue Water. Now FlyQuest are stuck trying to kick down the door, and they have, at least when it comes to the high ground. Drop down, Battison makes it difficult, but now the death ball from FlyQuest will descend in a big ping from the haunt as Avery looks for a backstab. They're all looking the other way, but Avery misses their chance to surprise. And FlyQuest just can't seem to develop or really stop Blue Water once they track them down, so Blue Water will take now both pistols of Split.
That was such a good haunt by Avery, too, pinging all 3 players, putting the tethers around as you're spreading across the site for FlyQuest. Come on. Ring around the Rosie back towards the elbow. Unfortunately, it didn't hit. It looks so good for FlyQuest. They almost had the perfect backstabs into these timings until Battison dropped right there. As soon as Battison dropped, and look at that combo, it wasn't only onto the haunt, but there was a paranoia with it. So now they couldn't really hear where the opponents are coming from as well, except for one player that didn't get hit by that paranoia. And really threw a stick in the wheels here on FlyQuest, trying to get that last second plant over towards that A site.
We're playing chicken with an outlaw. Ooh. Guardian Angel on their side, but Edith floats like an angel and does not get to sting like a bee, unfortunately. And FlyQuest have to go with an alternative, which, hey, they have that ramp control and they could just easily fall back into vents. You're gonna leave Ev here inserted, which the classic, the right click, you don't want to underestimate how much that can hurt. FlyQuest still have a smooth ride towards A, and Melia getting ahead of the game, and Ego challenge and converts a 2-for-1. You still take those. You need Jazzykins to get up there and hold some kind of control, but now all these solo hero challenges from FlyQuest has netted them with just one person left, 1v3, and the spike hasn't been planted yet. That is a lot on Jazzykins' plate. At least go off of the information. Missed chance for Avery, and Jazzykins will take that window to escape.
That's huge. Avery got scared too because they got dinked through the wall from that hero play coming out from Melia. So the first dinked headshot and then almost getting a triple, but gives an opening. A good plant for Jazzykins.
Whoa, Jazzykins could clutch this for FlyQuest. And turns and burns on Sid. Oh, an oasis. We'll close the chapter on that clutch. Not gonna happen. Anti-Eco converted by Blue Water.
That was such a nice try by Jazzykins too. Oh my god, was that nice. On the tight jiggles. Drive by with the Bulldogs, with the picks, and then even isolating, knowing that there's going to be a flank from that main side. Wins that duel. And unfortunately, it's a ghost penetration that gets her in the end from Oasis on that 1v1. I gotta say, that dash from Edith was actually quite nice. I feel like that could have been tweaked a little bit better by FlyQuest if Thea actually had a paranoia to throw towards Heavens. If she didn't throw it, or if she did, it missed, it's fine. But if not, she was already in position towards Ramen. If that paranoia came through, Edith probably could have had a nice little one pump with the Bucky and retreat and give already that player advantage for the side of FlyQuest. But at least they'll get it this round.
Kind of deja vu of the Omen lurk at B main, just gets shut down from an outlaw. It's the tables have turned.
Out of turntables, yeah.
Because that was such a A lot of blood has been shed from Blue Water and anti-eco. It's not as strong here for the bonus. FlyQuest. Gotta get back on their high horse.
Here's how it gets telegraphed. They're going to flash around the corner. They're going to dash above the A site and then KO flash behind the Viper wall and then flood through. That's been their bread and butter and how they execute every single time. If it hasn't changed, then that should be ready here for Blue Water.
Dog, flashes, smokes, knife on the site. Synchronized well here for FlyQuest. No one home, but that means no one from Blue Water affected. Clone shot at the front. Thea gets a bit nervous, decides to drop. And Blue Water, a 2-2 split. Coming down ramps, coming down screens. A pain sandwich as FlyQuest have two really passively back A. Try and catch that walk down. Jazzykins just expended her last flash, so time to put up or shut up. And Thea has been silenced. Two left on the site here for FlyQuest. Time running out, and Blue Water are not winning on any of these pushes or any of these fronts, and it's not going to get better with a Bucky with Battison, especially with how healthy the opposition is. So, good attempt for Blue Water. FlyQuest got to execute, and there wasn't anything to dispatch those planes.
And a little bit of damage done. That's fine. Dying in a spite too. You pick up an orb. You've won some good rounds here for the side of FlyQuest. The economy's still very good with 4 players alive, so definitely somebody could drop you. So it was sort of telegraphed on how FlyQuest moved around that map, but the utility was slightly different this time around. Jazzykins didn't really follow up with the rest of the team. They wanted to save their flashes for the flood retake, thinking that Blue Water, after they threw the first wave of util, well, they realized that nobody was contesting back here on that A site, so they could save a little bit of that utility for that post plan, which works perfectly for FlyQuest. Now this is an early smoke for them to take mid control, and you're seeing a nice little early push by Battison towards that B main, though. This is some great information to gain, especially with that eye towards that front side. You now know that FlyQuest should be defaulting a lot towards middle. That now forces Sin to fall back just a little bit more and play the off angle as well. But that now is an overextension.
That's the waters. It's looking pretty murky. FlyQuest, it's something to work off of, though. You know you have a weakened beast site. But with vents, with this full default still into effect for FlyQuest, a decision has to be made here from Thea. Listening in carefully, ready to throw a paranoia, but need someone to really fight off of that. It's FlyQuest that need to go in with confidence. Jazzykins and Ev, 2 flashes. Ready to scrap, and ooh, just the shoulder spotted, and Sin, and Jazzykins at half health, still couldn't get that kill. Incredible resilience from Jazzykins, that gets him the high ground. So May has to pull off a hero play, hearing the stopping, double kill converted. That is huge for Blue Water. And Oasis double kill at the front, heroics across the board from this defense. Fighting at the heels of FlyQuest, who now only have Edith in a 1v2. Definitely possible. But, oh, man. All the util thrown their way. They thought they had a moment to plant, and now it's time to squabble up, and it's against Avery. Edith playing with their time, and it's now taking it. There's no time. You have to kill now. And Avery tested your patience long enough. Blue Water to double digits.
I was so close. Again, I respect what Edith is trying to do here in these clutch moments. A big mistake from FlyQuest. Guys, there's still 30, 40 seconds as you've made your first contact towards B Heaven. That is fine. You've already controlled the orange hallway of that B site. Try to just stay alive in that spot to force now May to maybe overextend again towards that B garage. You can't rotate with knife out, Thunderfoot back into the garage where you never had to control in the first place. Look at how ready you were already for May. Hearing Melia come in from all the way from spawn to meet up with Thea and close that gap. And now the gap is too close where they can't even spread apart going into the double swing. And they both get caught off guard, and that really toppled down the first engagement that they were able to get on their side for FlyQuest before. And yeah, as we talked about a change of tempo from Blue Water in today's game, we're seeing very similar things for FlyQuest. As I talked about how good they've been of just 5 players site slamming with all of this util, they've been defaulting a lot more around the map, but it doesn't really feel like they have some sort of a final finish where they kind of want to working in tandem and coordination to really finish these rounds cleanly. It does get quite messy. You still are asking a lot of hero plays coming out from players to be able to win these rounds, with that exception, of course, of that round number 15 on your attack side, because you're playing against a bonus round from Blue Water, a much lower buy. Blue Water, man, they're really running away with the economy on their side too. Got some outlaws that's going to be able to one-shot 4 players across the board.
And this is a best of 5, so this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. You got to keep energy in the tank, and hopefully this confidence just it's built up. Oh, that's a kneecap. Be careful there. Sin, or not Sin. Sorry, Melia. 10 HP is getting chased, but actually the Yoru falls back. So FlyQuest already getting pushed to their limits, but with Edith ready with conversion paths and vents, this is going to be the point to attack in.
With the heal, that's now 5 players one-shottable with the outlaw. But yes, I was going to say the convergence path is going to be huge. Misses.
Edith already feeling like they have to pull it out after the Prowler discovered them. They had to kill Avery. You don't know what's around the corner, so FlyQuest, decisions are made for them. Hacking round that goes their way with the site fully cleared out. FlyQuest doing a good job with that first blood, and it's not the best of 5 for Blue Water, as chances of winning this round are diminishing. At least Blue Water have the high ground to play with. Seekers pulled out from Jazzykins. Just identify where those players are coming from.
I'm all out.
Now flashes towards Rams, maybe giving an advantage here for Thea, but with just a classic, I mean, they need more than just a flash. They need a team. FlyQuest are now turtled up, and Blue Water will expose them with the convergent pass and the guns. Blue Water just outdueled them.
Yeah, I mean, the convergence path actually hit all 3 players in the back of the site for FlyQuest. Nothing they could do there for FlyQuest as soon as he lost the A main control. That was so nice. The TP, you're holding out towards the screens. You're making sure that Sin can rotate across to the team. She upgrades to the weapon that was left behind by Avery, who got dropped earlier on. It was a blind ult from the side of FlyQuest that didn't get any value, but a great ult on the defense, knowing where the positions of some players would be after a pulse plant. It actually hit so many players, and they flood back in and destroy FlyQuest on their attempt to hold the pulse plant. What a nice start for Blue Otter. Again, the underdog of this whole tournament.
I was on a lower buy. That was incredible for Blue Water. FlyQuest, though, have to double up their score, double up their kills, and you have already Edith dashing on the high ground, already opening up the round, as dependable as ever. Oh my, we're shooting bodies already. We're in for a good grand finals, folks, and you got the Viper's Pit. This engulfed Avery, decaying them down to nothing. But May shows up with a double kill. That is insane. Expect the unexpected. But Avery is left as the lone wolf for Blue Water to possibly get them to match point. All depends on how they address this very big problem in front of them. It's a high-low. Beautiful for FlyQuest. They're not done yet.
Yeah, they almost got it done, though, for Blue Water. Again, another one of those rounds where we opened up perfectly for FlyQuest, and almost inside the chaos of the pit, FlyQuest almost had numbers dwindling down. And thankfully, they still had numbers up after the chaos towards the screens, and that high-low you just mentioned was good enough. But that was an expensive round for both FlyQuest and Blue Water. Thankfully, though, that you see Blue Water is on an eco. So this is an opportunity for FlyQuest to come up here with 2 rounds in a row, and here is the all too familiar 5-player hit.
Ooh, the death ball, some resistance here for Blue Water, but that paranoia forced the recall out for Blue Water. Even Avery with the classic takes one down with them. FlyQuest got delayed too with the snake bite that was thrown. They weren't able to just flood in easily. Null Command, though, will put the ball back in FlyQuest court, taking an alternate path. Careful of what Battison can do with the Sheriff. It's called GC Sheriff for a reason, guys. Pay attention. Blue Water gonna hold their lineups, though, as FlyQuest want to try and get to the back of the site.
Just trying to find their timing pretty much at this point. They're hoping that Blue Water is going to try to find the information, especially with Avery being down. They might have to start base checking to figure out where the mid-round could be.
They spotted the one in screens. That's something FlyQuest can work off of. As Oasis doesn't see that one coming. Big lapse there. FlyQuest have scoured all the power positions they need, but have to actually get onto the side, and that's where Battison can at least take one for the road. Oh, Edith pounces. Battison is just prey, and that means FlyQuest should secure themselves not only the plant, but also the round. May could not adjust well. Melia still with good patience in that duel. And Sin managed to recover a Vandal, so I think you'd want to save it in a 1v4, but...
Make it expensive. I think that's fine. You could buy into the next round for Blue Water anyways. And any other kills that you're getting is forcing more buys out of FlyQuest, but she missed that timing of that first on Heaven. Oh my gosh, okay. I really wanted to try to go for that one with the wall going down on the attack. But yeah, not able to do extra damage. That was all right though for Blue Water. I gotta commend the haunt from Avery. They've been trying to throw that oftentimes right at the A orb to try to counter the Viper Wall slam coming out here from FlyQuest. They got one kill with the classic out of it, but starting to see here that pattern as you keep moving here towards this A side and using your saturate on site as well. There's really nothing kind of slowing down the A side for Blue Water. So if that continues to happen, they could just start swinging out and spraying, which is what you're trying to set up at least to start.
Oh, the Viper's pit. FlyQuest are infiltrating, and Sin repositions and catches Thea looking the wrong way, and the spike's in the pit. This is the worst possible situation for FlyQuest to be in, but they got two flashers, they got a lot of util, they're still gonna make the most out of this as FlyQuest hope to evict that Viper, and Sin is still somehow alive. And so are the rest of Blue Water. They'll get to match point. That is a fumble and a half for FlyQuest.
Match point.
Yeah, that's a fumble where it gets intercepted and then ran into your own zone. A touchdown for Blue Water to put them at map point. I mean, that you're walking into the pit with spike, walk contact when Edith. I mean, at that point, you maybe had a recall, so you could maybe recall and then try to have Thea spray through where you're recalling from. Maybe that was the idea, but yeah, that was tough to look at. That all of your efforts to really come back in this game where he was pretty clean in the previous rounds. Unfortunately, now potentially slips. Look at this buy. Thea once again has to force a weapon for one of her teammates where she has none for hers.
So much information from Oasis, calling out all those numbers still in sewers, and Blue Water can now push up the perimeter if want to take that risk. No, to converge down into the middle. Flash into vents. The Nightfall is a response here for Blue Water. Good resistance. That gives Sin and Avery the heads up in the fight, and the spike is in the middle of an island, and FlyQuest need a raft. They need more than that. They feel like they need a miracle. You have an op and a sheriff, and you're still trying to switch up the weapon. Oasis looks down at the wrong moment. Melia locks in, and this is salvageable for FlyQuest now that the smokes come up to at least have the spike in hand.
There was looking for a weapon the whole time as well, and so was Melia. Finally, two Vandals to pick things up, but they have to be aware of this so far, right? Remember, Battison threw a saturate into sewers, so FlyQuest has to be aware of a potential position out towards A main. So if they're going to try to clear this out, maybe walk down towards that ramp and try to find Battison. They probably won't know about Avery, but I would like that call of them trying to stay together to make sure that they trade out a 2 versus 1 on wherever they want to go.
Well, he's going to have to wait for more fuel to maybe seal off that ramp's position, so will be exposed. 12 seconds, though. FlyQuest, it's match point for Blue Water. It's all up to these two to step up, to extend this split. And you have May teleporting in as Thea with a double kill. May have just put the cape on her back. And May has been heroic themselves. Could still try to win this, but that was an incredible shot from Thea at IGL, and even though you had the duel, you hold the L, and FlyQuest, they got more lives where that came from.
How selfless is that from Thea? We just talked about her buying a weapon for her teammate as the IGL, picks up a weapon mid-round, and then converts with 2 impact frags. Remember when I talked about the amount of time she's getting punished towards that B main defense? She's redeeming herself in these moments to keep FlyQuest in the game for now on their attack side, especially after that fumble that we saw through that pit the round prior. That might now force A timeout, yeah, from Blue Water. The last one that they have available, the last one that we have in regulation. And this is a big round coming through for Blue Water. You're seeing them buy across the board. They are investing into this. Outlaw, Bucky on the defense, which is fine. They're on defense. That allows for you to really lock down that the mid round. And you're seeing how many times it's been costly for FlyQuest that they're scratching the bottom of the barrel to win these rounds. Their economy isn't the best either. So 2 of them are actually one-shottable by May's Outlaw. I feel that you're going to have to start posting on these extremities and maybe even have May try to go for that B main pick. She's been very good in those reaction shots, while you still have the standard of what you have on that A side. The double pressure from the double duelist, just to try to keep some players at bay, funnel the players towards that B site. And maybe they don't even need to do that, because FlyQuest is about to go for a 5-player hit towards that B site, right into the Outlaw.
Sin has been so dependable holding middle by herself, so I like the judge play. It's still going to feel just as impactful as a full buy, in my opinion. How she's been able to control that space, but the FlyQuest death ball is hard to deny. Flash deep into the site with the dash follow-up. FlyQuest don't find anyone home, at least that they think, as Sin lurks with the judge, and even at a distance, to scratch the surface of the plot armor. FlyQuest remain all 5 intact, and with the heals from Jazzykins, in a better position than when they started with. But Madison opens up from the flank. B Garage is a problem. FlyQuest got to get proactive, but they get blinded. As Blue Water have the convergent pass lined in. It's time for Madison to shine. On the back of the site as FlyQuest try to stay hidden and play the corners of the crossfire. And Blue Water kick the door down, but they need time to defuse. And Ev just has to delay. 1, 2, and the final shot for the Red Bull clutch.
Ev coming in huge here. You were sticking that spike defuse for Blue Water, and somehow a 1 versus 3. We talked about so many hero plays coming out from Blue Water, but it's this time coming out from FlyQuest. Look at that. Sitting in his position is great, but she was getting pinched from the front and the back. You have 2 players in spawn. Where's the Euro Flash? Where's the Omen Flash to at least protect her in the back so that she can guarantee a judge kill in the front? Miscoms coming through, but at least Ev is there. Another veteran across the roster for FlyQuest that keeps the game in for their attack side.
This kickoff isn't the first or the last rodeo for Ev. Showing up, FlyQuest pushing the limits, trying to force OT. And they infiltrate. Edith at the top, King of the Hill style. And Blue Water completely dismantled. And it's FlyQuest that are going to go the distance. And May and Sin just don't have the weaponry. Melia with the Outlaw. It's the only sheriff in this town. Sin will go down with the ship or punish someone from FlyQuest that checks out screens. Either way, I'm getting a feeling we're going to OT. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. There'll be some money available for Blue Water for the last round, but you see how good that flash is from Jazzykins. That's what I'm talking about. That 5-player slam that they do, they always have Thea also TPing up on Heaven. But when you have that dash on the top of the flower pots at the default, and the flash from Jazzykin basically covers the whole site from Benji Fishy to the back of default to the back of flowers to hell, the only big gap there is that can take advantage of is front of elbow in front of screens. So you get to spray from there. But you see now FlyQuest trying to play behind the flower pots, and they get fully blinded from that, and it's a free kill for Edith as they dash in. So maybe when it comes down to positioning and try to ante this 5-player hit on the A side from FlyQuest, it was missed a little bit by Blue Water.
This has drastically changed since the FlyQuest timeout. 5-3 ever since they sat down with Coach Joe. Now they want to sit down with a timeout, or not a timeout, an overtime here very soon. It's FlyQuest already trying to pull towards Sin, and Oasis will have her back. Now the high ground's going to be ever so difficult for FlyQuest to penetrate through, and Elia's got also eyes within the site. It's looking pretty empty. FlyQuest are also stretching thin, looking for options elsewhere.
This is difficult too because you don't have any more smokes for Thea. So you almost have to ask now for Melia to wall up and down, and for Ev to maybe try to go for a hero play. If they could win this 1v1 against Madison, that is an opportunity here for FlyQuest.
Oh, Madison just dodging out from the flash to saturate to keep person in their place. FlyQuest scale up to B, and Sin will readjust after already cutting down one. And Jazzykins tries to do it all on her own. Impactful as ever, but the spike is down. It's a 2 versus 3 as FlyQuest still have to salvage this, and you'll pull Ev towards the side of the map. Edith gets in position to plant. Out in the open though, Ev not in position to support immediately.
You have the crossfire.
So you got that going. Heard the drop down. Edith steady now as Ev flash Edith as well. The swing out for Battison. Oasis and Avery trying to coordinate it, and Ev gets eyes on the spike. Avery sandwiched between a rock and a hard place with OT on the line. And Avery has to choose their battles. And it's about the war. It's about this 1v1.
The molly.
No, the nade right on the post plant. That'll be the nail in the coffin for Avery as FlyQuest force overtime.
Switching sides.
A 2 versus 3 converted. And a 4 versus 5 actually converted from FlyQuest when they lost the initial push into heaven from Thea dying right there. Again, hero plays coming out from timing. Look at Jazzykins. Finds that timing as she loses her teammate, gets the opener, and they're able to find instant trades out of that to go for this last hero play. We got so scared for the side of Blue Otter, where you saw them pull back, trying to stay as a group, and then really trying to not cause any mistakes. So nobody really wanted to try to push out and bait themselves to go for instant trades. And you just jiggled, made it so easy for FlyQuest to keep the crosshairs honed down for the wall bangs and the picks, and FlyQuest stays alive in this fight. And we're going once again to extra innings on the first map for Blue Water, for the first map of the BO5.
Extra innings in a grand final? Are you kidding me? This is only the beginning of the Game Changers season. Against as FlyQuest at 13-3, their rival, Blue Water, who lost this map just yesterday. And look at this turnaround just for 24 hours later as Blue Water encroach on middle. They just spot Jazzykins, but she's got enough in her arsenal to keep suppressing Blue Water if they dare to challenge that space.
You still see that they're continuously playing this offing on the top of heaven. Again, going into like an old style of playing split, where when the map first came out, it was a lot of pressure into mid, wall, smoke, and then going into an evolution of playing a little bit more passively on the top of the chokes of A and B heaven, so you could allow these fast rotates on the defense.
A 6-1 lead for Blue Water. Ball's in their court in overtime. Oasis quick to extinguish Jazzykins. But down from below, Melia will watch as this round develops in FlyQuest's favor, but not before the Blue Water trades come in. But Oasis on their last life. And Ev, as deadly as ever, now the high ground for the defense, and Blue Water still has the plan. It's all up to Avery. 1 versus 2, and Ev only needs themselves as FlyQuest will go to match point here in OT.
Switching sides.
What a moment right now for Ev to really shine in the second half. 23, 16, and 12 as a KO, where KOs usually do not shine on this map, and they're playing it to their comfort and they're playing it to where it works for FlyQuest. But look at how much even Edith, I'm going to have to keep praising Edith on how they're playing on the attack side as well. This might be the round that FlyQuest will be able to close out this matchup, because look at this continuous condition that they've been doing hitting towards the A site. They're going to do it again with the double flashers and the dash, and then try to walk into B.
Deathful Styles never let FlyQuest down. At least that's really the hand that they're showing. Dashes, flashes, the investment into A. Blue Water are scrambling. The whole team is on its way. This is a look you've seen from FlyQuest before. They stare down the B site, and look who's returning, May. And even that gate crash from Oasis, they are quick to reestablish their defense. But is that the window FlyQuest walk into? They want to be careful.
The only thing is May threw a one-way smoke at the entrance of that B site the whole time. So that created so much pressure that didn't allow FlyQuest to be confident and walk into B main. But they slowed down the tempo. Now they're forcing these face check out of blue water because you've now cycled your initiator util. You found no information. You're trying to figure out where the players are at. And Edith, once again, is able to get the first punish and the first blood now for FlyQuest. They could wait for the second wave of util to come out for F, maybe get the second knife. No, they're faking towards the B site. It's a beautiful kill. That opens up A for them to take. What?
Well, Ev's shooting bodies, but the spike's going elsewhere, and that'll just free up A and make things as smooth as butter for FlyQuest to potentially turn around a 1-6 deficit from how split started. FlyQuest have gotten so much out of their timeouts. Still have to close out your 5 versus 2. It looks GG, but how can Sin and Avery overcome what looks to be the impossible? Sin coming up through ropes, and the wall comes up. Melia is gonna already spot the barrel. That could be the kiss of death. Now Avery has to do it solo. And the spike ticks down, and there is just no way. But we'll go out kicking and screaming. And at least with a smile on their face. And a little trade at the end. But wow, what a map one of our grand finals, folks. 14-12 in favor of FlyQuest. That was more difficult than I think even they expected it to be.
Yeah.